Here at Gundam Planet, we're all about staying true to ourselves. And, you know, I've been doing a bunch of high-grade reviews lately, and I was thinking, you know what, it's time to go back to my first love of model kit building, and that's master grades. And I wanted to do something real substantial, so I was just like, man, what's something I've always wanted to do, but just never really got around to it that could be a real good project to work on, a really cool video for you guys. And that's why I'm pulling out the master grade Shin Musha Gundam. And for those who are not familiar with the Shin Musha Gundam, it is an old design that kind of sparked a whole different line of model kits that for, like, I'll say like 95% of them were SD Gundam model kits that were based off of Japanese style samurai armor and other such stuff like that. And this is one of the rare times that those SD models were actually turned into a full-scale Master Grade Gundam, and the Musha Gundam is pretty iconic. You might have seen him in Dynasty Warriors Gundam, the video games. He was the boss in one or two of them, and overall, a really cool look, and this kit has a lot of really neat stuff going on, so I'm very excited to take a look at this and build this. So let's see all the different things that it's got going on. So first things first, we see this giant, big runner of gold electroplating, same thing with this smaller runner here. And what you might be aware of is that this is actually a upgraded version of the Shin Musha Gundam. There was another Master Grade Shin Musha Gundam out before this that did not have the electroplating gold, and it definitely makes a difference because, to be honest, this gold looks really, really good. It's a little darker than your standard like Hyakushiki golds, and it's it'll definitely stand out on the model rather than just having like the gold yellow that the original one probably had. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it looks really good. Moving on, you got your A runner here, and this is where a lot of the red plastic, you got some arms and stuff like that, you got your head up here, V-fin, and it's like a decent looking red. I kind of want to be able to like spray some gloss top coat on there to make it match up with some of the rest of the kit, but as far as just the color red goes, it's pretty solid. And here's a pretty exciting thing about this model is the black. And the black is all already gloss coated, which makes it look really nice. It's a real strong look, and it's gonna go along with the rest of the whole aesthetic of this kit, and it's pretty neat that it looks like that, so I'm very excited. Here you got some silver plating, which is all the blades for its melee weapons, and this is also very good. Instead of putting this in gray and you gotta paint it, it's a nice plating, looks good. It's gonna look real nice when you get it on the model. Moving on to the inner frame here, one thing you might notice, one thing I definitely noticed when I first took a look at this kit, is that this is the RX-78 Master Grade 1.5 Gundam frame. It's the same frame that was in the One Year War Gundam, and I'm not complaining because it's a great frame. It came out around the time where the inner frames and Master Grades were given a lot of intricate, molded in detail in terms of just like wiring and the way it all would naturally look if this was a real robot. So it's really cool. I'm really a big fan of this frame, so it's nice that I get to work with it again. Got some more of that gloss black for some inner frame stuff. Not bad, not bad. Here we got some white plastic. The white is that old Master Grade white, so like it's not really too spectacular, kind of dull looking, but it'll do the job. There's really not that much white going on in this kit. Got some more red here for the feet, leg armor. You notice some like very interesting armor design on this, and it all is going to add to that really solid aesthetic of the Musha Gundam. Here you got your polycaps. There's a pretty good amount of polycaps here, but it's to be expected with a Master Grade. That's a little showing its age, but it's not too bad, so nothing bad there. This runner has got me in a weird sort of way. So this is the brown for all of the weapons that it has that are supposed to be like made of wood. And I think I'm going to give a strong attempt of trying to paint this to give it a wood grain finish. I've looked up some techniques online. It doesn't really seem that complicated, but I definitely feel that because this is going to make such a great display piece, I definitely feel like it deserves the work to really make it stand out and look good. So I'm gonna attempt to paint this. Hopefully that'll work out okay. And this is a thing that if you built the 1.5 or the 1 Year Gundam before, you know all about these. And this is a very interesting part of that 1.5 frame, which is these proto real grade style legs. And I'll just be straight up, they're awesome. They're very cool. It's done with this double injection style where everything is pre-assembled. You just cut it out of these thick runners, it takes a little while to cut them out of here because there's so many points of connection to the runner and a lot of stuff going on. But once you get them all out, you then twist everything into position like you would do on a real grade frame. And I think it works really, really well. Looks great when it's done, and it's definitely a great addition to making the frame, the 1.5 frame, as good as it is. I really, really like it. More inner frame here. Again, all that great detailing going on. You know, it's like this light gray color going on here. It looks really good. You got your hands. Nothing to complain about there. Again, more of that glossy black. You're going to see that glossy black on the torso and some other parts of the arms and the legs, and it really stands out. Looks really nice. We got one last big runner of red plastic, which features some leg armor and the parts for the scabbard. And the scabbard for the sword, I think the sword and the scabbard both need a little bit of painting, but it's nothing too egregious, nothing that you can't do with a Gundam marker. Last but not least, we have this big old display stand. So you get this big old base, and then you get all these parts to do this base. Because this is something that's really special about this kit that I like a whole lot, is at the display stand, you get these really, really gorgeous cardboard printout things that go on the display stand. And this is a big part of what makes this kit such an amazing display piece, is just they really nail the whole aesthetic of it, and displaying it with this built into the stand. You also get these little signs here, and you display it on the stand with all the weapons displayed on it, with the Gundam standing there looking strong, and it's a very solid addition that I think is really important. And also, you get a couple screws, and you know, some people see the screws in the Master Grade and are a little afraid of the screws, but personally, I like screws in Master Grades because it generally means that there's parts of the frame that need tightening up, and they give you the screws to tighten up that frame, and definitely improves it, so I only really see it as a good thing. And finally, we got foil stickers, dry transfer decals, and sticker decals. The dry transfer decals look pretty cool, and I'm definitely going to give them a shot. Some of them might be a little annoying, but it's very minimal and definitely does a good job. The sticker decals, there's a lot of warning labels and stuff that I think are just left over from the RX-78, so I'll probably just skip those altogether. And then you just got your manual, and this is a thick, thick manual, and there's just so much going on in this kit, and it really looks like something I'm excited to do. Here's on the back, you can see with the display stand all set up and everything. It looks really cool, and it looks like a really fun project that I am just going to get right into it. Alright guys, so here is the Master Grade Musha Gundam completed with all of its stuff set up. And this has been an absolute adventure building this thing, and as you can see, once you have everything set up, it's absolutely gorgeous. This thing just, it just pops. All of the stuff that once you put it all together on this base like that, it all just looks great. And it really, really looks like something that you want to put on a shelf and make just a great display piece for your home or whatever. It's like almost like a piece of furniture at this point. Like you get it on somewhere, it looks great. But let's just I'm gonna pull this guy out of here. We're gonna go through all the accessories and everything in a little bit. But first things first is we're gonna just talk a little bit about this guy. So the finished product, as you can see, it on first glance, it just looks really good, and all of the plating on the gold and the gloss on the black and a little bit of candy red going on here, it all looks absolutely spectacular. But as far as the build goes, it's kind of a different story. So I'm not going to say that this build ever got frustrating, because it really didn't, but there's just a whole lot going on, and I would say about 60% of your time working on this kit is going to be cleaning up nubs, because the nubs are atrocious. The nubs on the gold, the nubs on the black, all the nubs are just a wreck, and I spent a lot of time just taking the pieces off the runner and shaving them down and try to make it look as discreet as possible. And I'll say about 90% of the time the kit does a good job of covering up a lot of the spots with the bad nubs, putting them in places that you wouldn't normally see. Either they're covered up by another part or just on the back or something like that. So it never really gets too terrible, but sometimes you're going to see spots where the plating is just chipped because that's just how it is, and there's really not much you can do about it. And it's unfortunate, but if you don't look at it too up close, you're not going to see anything like that. And I'm just going to say that a gold Gundam marker is pretty much required to build this kit. Some of the nubs are just way too in your face, and even though it's not gonna like make it perfect, a little bit of gold Gundam marker goes a long way to making the nubs less apparent. But so that's definitely required. I also just as additional precautions, I suggest a black, red, and silver Gundam marker just to make sure that everything looks right, because it's going to take a bit of work to make this thing look the way it does. And other than that, it was pretty much just an RX-78 1.5 or 1 Year War with just a bunch of stuff on top of it. So I'm going to get into posing, and I'm going to get into all the accessories, but let's get up close and take a better look at that. Alright, so here's the man himself, and here's all of his weapons, and you get like a nice assortment of stuff that you could use to put this guy in whatever sort of look you want him to look. And I'll just start off going through all the weapons. So you get this flintlock, musket, pistol, big pistol thing here, and it looks good. Like I said, it could use a little bit of painting to make it look exactly the way you'd want it to, but even just straight out of the box, I honestly think it comes out looking pretty good. You get these gold stickers that you put on there, and like they look alright, they do the job. If you're careful about putting them on, they look like they belong. So, not really too many complaints about that. And it just kind of is what it is. So there's your gun. Moving on next to the sword, you get the sword right here, and you get its scabbard, and then the sword just comes out like that, and not gonna have this piece get stuck there. Yeah, so this whole scabbard is just two pieces held together by these smaller pieces here, so it can be a little bit flimsy, but just be careful with it. And then you have your sword here, so you get nice plated silver blade, and then plated gold whatever you call that, the top of the hilt, and then it's very standard, looks nice, and no real complaints there, so that's good. You got two spears. You get, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not really sure what the technical name for these guys are, but they're cool, and they look great, and the plated parts really make them pop and look nice. And again, no complaints here. So as far as the accessories go, it's all pretty much okay. Nothing, no real complaints, but nothing really too much to write home about. As far as the display base goes, you get these stands for the spears, so the spears just sit right in these stands and you have them displayed on the base. And you also get this stand here that lets you put the gun and the sword on it like a little rack, so it looks real neat. And that's definitely most likely what you're going to want to do with this stuff, is just put it on its bases and display it with the Gundam itself, rather than try to get a lot of action poses out of it, because that's a nice segue, because I'm going to talk about the posing on this kit. And, it works. It's nothing too crazy, but well, let's just go from bottom to top. So I'm gonna show you guys the knees here, and much like the any sort of thing based off the 1.5 frame, you get a really nice bend out of the knees. And this is going to be a little bit of theme here. You can see it's stopped by this big fat back skirt armor, and you can't get as big of a bend out as you could, but it's a pretty strong bend, and I really can't complain too much. You got your feet here, a little bit of movement out of the feet, again stopped by this big ankle guard that's going to get in the way. So don't expect too much posing out of the feet, but it's good enough. Moving on to the waist, you get a swivel in the waist, and it's pretty nice, does the job, nothing really impeding it, so you can do pretty much whatever you want there. It's a little bit loose because, again, there's so much stuff on this guy that a lot of the joints have some trouble staying up. So you're going to want this guy's 2 feet planted on the ground at all times, or you're going to have some problems with weight issues. Onto the shoulders. The shoulders, you get these 2 big shields that are put onto the shoulder, and you can move the shields up like that and spin them around with pretty much no problem. They're really nicely put on the shoulders, so you can get them to move however you want. As far as the arms go, if you're gonna get any posing out of the arms, these guys gotta move out of the way first, and then you can get a pretty solid bend out of the arm, but this arm guard over here tends to like to fall off, but you can move it a little bit to try to get a better bend, and it's serviceable. Same thing with the shoulders. The big shoulders and the shoulder shields kind of get in the way, but you can get full 360 on the arm. But when it comes to moving it up like that, it's gonna stop. And there's really not a whole lot you can do about it other than moving the shield out of the way to try to get a bigger bend. One of the cooler parts about the 1.5 frame was the arm could go pretty much all the way up if unimpeded, but as you can see, this piping here and all of the stuff going on the shoulders is going to keep it from doing that, which again was never really the point of this kit, and I'm not really too upset about it. As far as the head goes, you get pretty standard movement out of the head, but, you know, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but it's stopped by a lot of the things going on. These big things in the face, which, by the way, those are stickers. You can paint those if you want, but the stickers do a well enough job. And you can move it around, spin it all around, but nothing too crazy. So, you know, as far as my views on posability, like, normally I'd be a little bit harsher on a model kit that has limited posability due to the amount of gimmicks and stuff put onto it, but this guy was really never meant to be a posing kit, so I'm really not going to be too harsh on it. One other little thing is the skirt armors here are all individual pieces hooked together, so you build it from bottom to top, and then you get a little bit of a bend out of each of the linked up pieces, so that's a nice thoughtful inclusion, and that about sums it up as far as posability goes. Nothing too egregious, but you're also not going to get a lot of good action poses out of it. Alright guys, so this was a whole thing, and we went over a lot talking about this thing, and I guess as just some final thoughts, overall, I really liked doing this. This was a great project. I spent a lot of time on it, and there's definitely still more work to be done. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'd like to be able to paint the brown and like do a little extra detail work to make this thing look more like, just to make it look more real, and that's a whole thing that I'd like to be able to find time to do eventually. But even without it, I have to say that even more than I thought, just looking at the runners just straight out of the box, this thing looks fantastic. Basically the main thing is, if you want to paint the Musha Gundam, you really got to hunt down the original one that doesn't have any of the plating or glossy on the black or anything like that, so that way you could actually paint it without going through a lot of problems to prep it for the paint. But if you're like me, and you just like the idea of a beautiful display piece just straight out of the box, it's really hard to not recommend this guy if you're ready for a bit of a project, but I think, like me, you'll be really pleased with the end result. And yeah, it's really great. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed coming down this journey with me as I built this monster. You know, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this guy, if you built him or you had any questions or any experiences you wanted to share. Be sure to check out our friend Marshsound's music. We have a link in the description. He does all the music that you hear in the videos. He does great stuff. And always remember that we have new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we get a packed schedule every week. You can check out two other videos that we've done below, and you can also check out our channel, which has so many other reviews and other videos for you guys to watch. And you know what? As always, I'll see you guys next time.